1993, Jurassic Park brought dinosaurs to life on the big screen.
Must go faster.
Now, Steven Spielberg and Universal Studios Hollywood are bringing dinosaurs to life right before our eyes with Jurassic Park, The Ride.
We began the concept of Jurassic Park, The Ride, even before Jurassic Park, the film, was in production.
Every theme park show these days has to break new ground and new technology. The audience for theme park rides is almost as voracious as the audience for motion pictures. It's like, it's got to be better than the last one.
Join us as we journey behind the scenes to explore the creation of the world's most technologically advanced theme park experience.
We're actually creating technology. We're doing things with animation that has never been done before, and we're doing it on a scale that has never ever been created. Just like Steven Spielberg did in Jurassic Park, we want our dinosaurs to look as real as they can.
Think they'll have that on the tour?
Hold on to your butt.
On June 11, 1993, dinosaurs roamed the Earth once again, and man's desire to walk amongst these prehistoric creatures was finally realized.
It's a dinosaur.
At least on the silver screen. Steven Spielberg's film Jurassic Park opened that summer to sold-out theaters around the country, and eventually around the world. Never before had the motion picture industry experienced the magnitude with which Jurassic Park inspired, thrilled, and terrorized audiences by making the impossible seem possible.
Steven was able to create computer-generated dinosaurs that could do anything. They could run, they could walk, that seemed as real as could believe.
Look out! No! Based on author Michael Crichton's best-selling novel, Spielberg's Jurassic Park rekindled humankind's fascination with these extinct creatures. But why are we so fascinated in the first place?
That's the greatest question of all, is why are we so in love with these dinosaurs? Of all extinct animals, and 99% of life has gone extinct, what's so special about these dinosaurs? First of all, the spectacular appearance of them is fascinating. And the dinosaurs took over, and they stayed in charge for 150 million years.
Dinosaurs are the most successful animals in the history of planet Earth. They've been still knocked out by their enormity, their power, their success.
And there's something very special that starts when we're a kid, and it's almost genetic, this attachment we have to dinosaurs.
Come on, girl. Come on up here, girl. God bless you!
Kids look up at dinosaurs and they say, you know, I love dinosaurs because they're not fantasy, they once were real.
They are the monsters of our imagination, but they're real animals.
And that they once were real, I think, makes children, you know, very compelled to know more about them.
And I think that that fascination is always going to be there.
Certainly this most recent wave of dinomania won't be going extinct anytime soon, because Universal Studios Hollywood now gives us the next chapter in the Jurassic Park saga with Jurassic Park, The Ride. A unique river adventure that brings you face to face with the wonders and terrors of a world gone by.
These are the largest scale animated characters ever created for any type of attraction.
This is not a movie. This is really happening.
There's nothing more exciting that I can even think in my head than being able to ride the movies.
Ironically, the idea for the ride started a full 3 years before the movie went into production. This means before anyone, including Spielberg, knew what a technical milestone the film would become.
The Jurassic Park attraction started in development when the book came out. Steven immediately contacted us and said, this book is going to make a great ride.
And so began a project that would quickly become more expensive, more time-consuming, and more technically challenging than the movie that would share its name. One of the first problems was, what kind of ride do you make Jurassic Park?
One of the things that we found very interesting in the book, and most of the book focused on the Jeep ride portion of it, but there's one really engaging sequence where they're floating down a river and they're being attacked and they're moving through the water.
We said, boat ride. Yeah, Universal doesn't have a boat ride. Thrills, big drops, high capacity. I think that's a good idea.
What's full range of motion?
Enlisting the most experienced designers in the world of theme park attractions, Universal Studios Hollywood officially began development on Jurassic Park The Ride in December 1990.
Initially, it starts off as drawings, sketches on paper, schematic, conceptual designs, we call it. And over the last 2 years, I've had to create an amazing set of drawings. I think it's 500 sheets of drawings and specifications. And then once we establish that concept, we work with the architects to develop the visual models, and then we started building these models. And once we saw the models, we started getting really excited. Everybody could visualize what we were building.
We developed the model at eye level, so that the model was actually on stilts, so you could walk through, and your eyes were the same level as the boat. So as you're walking through the ride path, you're seeing with your eyes exactly what you'll see with the boat itself when the boat is in there. And it's kind of tricky because your head just fits in the boat slot, you know. And Mr. Scheinberg and Mr. Wasserman and Steven Spielberg and everyone came down, and we had to walk them through that so they could actually see everything the way it was going to be.
This new Jurassic Park would be the creation of John Hammond.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
The same man who created the original Jurassic Park in Costa Rica.
Perhaps I should just make note that the Costa Rica operation shut down back in '93. You might recall the wee problem we experienced, only due, I might say, to sabotage.
Sir Richard Attenborough recreating his character. He's basically saying, you know, we made a few mistakes the first time around. But this time around we've done it right, and Universal Studios has been kind enough to give us the space to create this new Jurassic Park, and this is really the way it should have been the first time.
Our Hollywood Park is better than ever and incorporates safety features that will ensure a Costa Rica incident could never happen again.
Or could it? When we come back, we'll see the creation of a dinosaur's home at the new Jurassic Park. After years of meetings, drawings, meetings, models, meetings, studio prep, and meetings, ground was finally broken on the Jurassic Park River Adventure on January 1st, 1995. This was but the first real step in a massive construction effort that would eventually occupy 5 acres of studio property and cost over $100 million. And it would take numerous workers to bring it to completion.
There must be hundreds of vendors and thousands of people who are working on this project.
Everything from sculptors to engineers to technicians, welders.
Welders, metal workers, metal fabricators.
Animations engineers, software engineers.
We have scenic artists and painters.
Control engineers, electrical engineers.
Termites and ants, and your plumbers and electricians, and your iron workers, and your plasterers. It's a real skilled bunch of people.
The project would also demand a dizzying array of building materials.
We had to deal with steel and cement and electrical and hydraulics.
Actuators and sensors.
Tanks and pipes and pumps, emergency lighting and fence poles.
Fiberglass and PVC stuff.
Just the amount of concrete we poured into the earth just to support this thing was phenomenal.
And we're really creating Jurassic Park.
Ron Bernstein and all the designers of Jurassic Park just did a phenomenal job. The track. Steven Spielberg had a lot of input into what we were going to do and what we're going to see, and you know, it's great because he comes at it fresh. You know, we've been kind of working on it, and he comes at it with a fresh view, and he looks at it and says, well, this is great, or well, I like that, but can you do this? And have you thought about this? Can you put a dummy? Okay. Somebody's butt and shoes right here.
Steven is the storyteller. He not only knows how he wants to tell a story from a filmic point of view.
Not only are the tourists in danger of the runaway Jurassic Park, but there's always there's some workmen who've already eaten it.
Yeah. He knows and understands how to tell a story from a thrill ride point of view.
Do you have the same lights we had in Jurassic Park, the blue and the yellow?
Yeah, everything came right out of the film.
We had that little suspense scene, remember, where the blue came on first when she had just armed the system. When it flashes blue, it means the power's about to come on, and the amber means the power's on. And that's something the audience that certainly remembers from the movie. And
yeah, that's a good
recall for them to see that.
One of the first things that I did is I put up the electric fence, right out of the film. These animals, we don't want them to get loose in Universal Studios, right?
But the electric fence wasn't the only image borrowed from the movie. The ride designers also went as far as to build their own mountain, plant their own Costa Rican jungle, produce a cascading waterfall, and duplicate spectacular moments from the very heart of the film.
One of those Ford Explorers that were in the film, unfortunately has met with some disaster by some very large animal.
And then as the boat gets right beneath the car, it flips over, falls down the wall, and then tilts out over the top of the boat.
Sound is something up above your head that you can't see, and you get a little bit more nervous.
From a soundtrack point of view, we have to totally reinforce the mood. And sometimes the soundtrack will take a very prominent role in a scene. We were fortunate enough to be able to take the original sounds that Gary Rydstrom created for the actual film, put them into the digital editor, and pitch them up, pitch them down to make it match the actual animation for the ride. Because the animals you see in the ride don't do exactly the same thing.
To get accurate timings for all their audio effects, the sound designers worked to a computer simulation of the ride, which was made long before the actual ride was complete.
So here we are, we're a guest, we're actually sitting on the boat. The baby comes out of the water, they kind of talk to each other. Hi, Mom. They're not really talking to us, they're talking to each other.
Of course, some of the sounds borrowed from the film suggest things you might rather not see.
You don't actually have to see anything. You know something is going on, and it makes it scary. And I think part of this ride is scary.
In fact, the dangers of Jurassic Park become all too apparent the closer we get to the immense genetics laboratory. Inside this ominous structure, amongst the chemical tanks and incubation chambers, biologists work diligently to recreate dinosaurs from ancient dinosaur DNA. Just like they did in the feature film.
What species is this? It's a velociraptor.
Of course, the film showed us what happens when we tinker around with nature. When we come back, we'll see what precautions Universal Studios Hollywood had to take when creating dinosaurs for the ride.
Once the film came out, we saw how terrific and how fantastic the dinosaurs were. And then we realized we really had to create that three-dimensional live dinosaur in front of all the guests, and that's when the challenge really became intense.
Because of editing and clever camera moves, the film could freely mix robotic dinosaur parts with a complete computer-generated version. The ride, however, cannot rely on such tricks. Every dinosaur here had to be a complete life-size robot, and yet move in the natural style of the computer animation.
There are a couple of things that are involved in making a dinosaur move convincingly. Part of it's the work of somebody who knows something about how dinosaurs move. The other part is somebody who knows something about how to make machines move.
Steven Spielberg himself said, listen, when I was researching this project, Jurassic Park, the motion picture, I saw every single robotic dinosaur made on the Earth, trying to find the best one. And he said, frankly, everything I saw was herky-jerky, stiff, unbelievable, unrealistic. And he said, and if that's all that you can do, if that's the state of the art, let's just not do this.
Prior to the Jurassic Project, Universal Studios Hollywood's crowning achievement in animatronic technology was King Kong, who made his debut at the park more than a decade earlier. Before Steven Spielberg knew what computer technology could do for his movie version of Jurassic Park, he approached King Kong's creator Bob Gurr with the idea of applying the same technology to create dinosaurs.
Bob Gurr and I had some initial conversations about making some of the dinosaurs full size. Matter of fact, I initially wanted to make all the dinosaurs full size, and that, of course, was just my wishful thinking.
Perhaps it was wishful thinking for the movie, but when it came time to build a ride, Spielberg's idea of making all the dinosaurs full size proved to be the only way to go. But that posed a new problem. How do you top King Kong?
Every theme park show these days has to break new ground and new technology. The audience for theme park rides is almost as voracious as the audience for motion pictures. It's got to be better than the last one.
Just the scale and magnitude of the size required us to come up with new ways to produce animatronics that could look as believable as the film, yet be able to operate day in and day out.
Durability was something the movie makers really never had to worry about.
When you're making a motion picture, these puppets, as it were, have to last for their days of shooting, and they can be repaired between takes, and everything can be shot exactly right with the right light that's always exactly the way the director wants it. And then, essentially, they're retired because they've made their point, which is to star in the motion picture.
But the dinosaurs on the ride had to be able to perform complicated movements without a hitch and be able to perform them over and over and over
and over and over and over
and over and over and over and over again.
These dinosaurs have to last 16 hours a day, every day, you know, all year long.
But that would be like driving a car 100,000 miles a year.
On top of the durability problem, the ride dinosaurs were also expected to keep up appearances. They had to look realistic from all sides, while the movie dinosaurs tended to only show off their good side.
In the movie, they only had to look good from that one film angle. So making the theme park attraction was actually much more difficult.
The difficulty was further compounded by water. The whole ride is on water, and all the dinosaurs were to be near or even in the water. But water and animatronics are not traditionally compatible. When rain fell on the robotic T-Rex used in the movie, it promptly developed the shakes and had to be dried off constantly. Way back when the Jurassic ride was still in its planning stages, overcoming all these obstacles seemed, by all accounts, impossible.
6 years ago, the technology just wasn't there to make robots that could do that kind of thing.
Nevertheless, the ride designers were determined to make it happen.
We accomplished that by pushing the envelope further than we'd ever pushed it before.
We're actually creating technology. We're doing things with animation that has never been done before, and we're doing it on a scale that heretofore has never ever been created.
The ride designers forged new ground with the help of Sarcos Industries, an aerospace firm who first made their mark in a slightly different field.
Well, a long time ago, we developed an artificial arm for amputees.
This artificial arm was just the first in a long line of state-of-the-art robotic contraptions the company developed not only for medical purposes, but also for high-tech concerns like the space program.
When people from the entertainment business saw that, they said, gee, could you do that for some of our robots?
And they're saying, oh, wow, no one's ever asked us to do that before. And we said, can it be done? And they said, yeah, I think so. I don't know why not. Yeah, I'm sure it can be done. But it took that 6 years to really get to where we are now.
As with everything else in the ride, the creation of each robotic dinosaur was a painstaking, multi-layered task.
We start with drawings based on the park requirements in terms of what they need, what the animal does. And then we go to sculpting of a maquette, which is an actual 2-scale model of the anatomy of the particular dinosaur we're working on. And this becomes our Bible. The engineers saw theirs apart so that they can take cross-sections, which allows them to design the internal robotic structure. At the same time, we have our copies, and we use those to create a full-scale version in foam, which is what you see behind me here.
The full-scale body sections are intricately carved to show realistic skin folds and wrinkles. Each section is then covered with layers of oil-based clay and silicone. This serves to make the mold from which the final skin is made. The skin is then fitted onto its robot and painted, whereupon it awaits its ultimate test, movement.
Everything has to be very fluid and very animal-like. I program basically on a simple laptop. You can actually control the speed and how fast and how soft you want to move it, and you add all those analog functions you put in one at a time. And as you put in one, then you add on the next one and so forth, and start creating this whole action with the character. And eventually it evolves into a nice piece of acting.
We've come up with some pretty startling images. When you wind up back in the carnivore territory, you're seeing animals that have the kind of speed and agility like a cobra snake. They kind of look at you and they say, I want to eat your head, and they go for it.
And as in the movie, once things get out of control, you're in for the ride of your life.
We're hearing creaking and bending metal, and we're hearing the hiss of steam. And the T-Rex eventually begins to stalk you.
I'm being hunted.
And the T-Rex decides he wants to have you for his lunch, all 25 of you.
And even if you're fortunate enough to survive the wrath of nature run amok, you may still not survive the drop.
The drop is spectacular.
There's no water ride in America that has this kind of a drop with this degree of sophistication to it.
It's as close to vertical as you can get without being vertical.
51 degrees.
The distance of the drop is spectacular.
These boats are plunging 82 feet,
84 feet.
straight down in the pitch dark.
The boat reaches speeds of almost 50 miles an hour and it collides with the water and creates a 40-foot wave.
Just a huge plume of water that comes down.
And it comes right down on top of everybody. Well, it's not going to get everyone really wet.
You'll be absolutely drenched.
As with any major ride or show, we have to do a lot of testing in advance. And more than a year ago, we built this very same drop at the factory in Holland so that we could test not only the speed, but more importantly, what it felt like, how thrilling it was.
I'm very squeamish about fast rides. I'm not even sure I'm going to go down this 83-foot drop. You know, I'm not quite sure if I could. I've never been down an 83-foot drop before in my life. So I might just have them let me off before the drop occurs.
The Jurassic Park ride is going to be exciting, it's going to be fun, it's going to be scary, but it's going to be for everybody.
Yeah, that's nice. There we go.
There's no better theme park ride in the world. This is it. Dinosaurs are spectacular. It's an 84-foot drop. It's a great experience.
This really is a chance to, you know, three-dimensionally live the movie and ride the movie.